Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're just landing here. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Gonna do a political reading, checking in on my Friday schedule here. Want to talk to you all about a couple of things, one domestic and one international. Gonna Spirit's really been on me. I've been sitting here, got my notes, been doing some research on some things. Spirit's been like on me today. The guides like dit, 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 dit. So we're gonna get into a couple of things. Really quick announcement though about the class that I have coming up, Practical Magic Using Tarot, on December 28th. Thank you all so much. I've been getting a great response to that, and a lot of you have registered for the class. If you're interested in the details, you can visit my website, the book online. That's what you got to look at. And when you go to trulytouchedbytarot.com, check that book online tab, and then you'll see that class being offered. Only $36. It will be recorded if you can't attend live. But here's the deal, because this always happens. If you did not receive an automatic confirmation with the Zoom link for the class, please check your spam or your junk mail folders, because sometimes that happens, especially if you haven't received mail from me before. It would come from touchbytarot@gmail.com. So if you have not received, because automatically when you register, my website will send you the confirmation and the Zoom link, and then the day before you'll get an automated reminder. If you have not received that, please do check. All right. If you're still interested in the class, please jump on it now. I think I've only got about 12 spots left. I've had a really good response, and I'm real happy about that. Can't wait. We gonna put the woo in woo woo for that course, right? Practical Magic Using Tarot. We're gonna have a good time. All right. A couple of good things have happened. Try to balance things out with the heaviness of politics, and some good news. So let's celebrate the fact Indiana Republicans showed up and showed out yesterday about that gerrymandered map, right? The redistricting map. And they said no, despite the fears. Spirit, I read on that, I think last week. Spirit was saying that it was, there was definitely resistance, but there were very real threats that were being put out there. We know about that. But they held the line and said, nope, not doing it, not doing it here in Indiana. So kudos to them for that. How about the third attempt to get a grand jury indictment against Tish James? No, we're not doing it. I don't know why you all keep asking. We are not doing that. But keep your eyes out, you all. We're going to look at this again later as well. Abby Lowell was on with, I think it was Jim Psaki last night on MS Now. Abby Lowell, Tish James's attorney, the super lawyer to the super lawyers in DC. And Abby Lowell kind of dropped a hint and said something to the effect of potentially Tish James filing a lawsuit against this regime, and I'm sure the DOJ specifically, because of this constant pursuit of her over nothing. And so Abby Lowell basically said, keep your eyes open. He didn't say, he was like, we can't tip our hand, can't tell you exactly what we're going to do in this moment, but it's looking like something's going to get done about that. Come on, enough already. Why would they even try and attempt it a third time? So that's done. Bit of good news around that. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, forever and a day it took, but he has in fact been released, we understand, and returned to his family, I think in Maryland. So wow, prayers over him and his family to continue their life and recover. I'm sure this has just been beyond traumatic. We remember his wife was pregnant, I think, and gave birth while all of this was happening. So very, very good sign around that. Another reason to celebrate. And I think that was, Amtrak. And I'm gonna get into the House showing signs of life, right? Them reversing the order through this new thing that is giving Mike Johnson, not new, but these discharge petitions where they only need instead of relying on Mike Johnson to advance a proposed bill, they only need a certain number of signatures. I think that's what got the Epstein file situation over the line once Grahava was finally sworn in. But they are now, they've gotten on, they say, we're on to something. The House is realizing we're on to something with these discharge petitions. And so now they've gotten together to say, all right, now we're going to use this as well to overturn the order around Sleepy D's order around federal workers' bargaining rights, right? Getting the unions back involved, getting them some juice. And around that, we have Amtrak, which kudos to them. They have, from what I understand, they are giving their employees $900 end of year bonuses that money that would have gone to the execs, to Amtrak execs. So they're saying, okay, you know what? Take that money away from us and give it to our employees, as it should be, right? As opposed to what the horrible thing that was done to TSA workers. Remember, they were after the government shutdown, they were told they would be given these $10,000 I don't know, bonuses or whatever classification it was. But turns out I found out only 776 people got those bonuses, the 10K, but because it was based on this regime said, well, you had to have perfect attendance during the government shutdown. Who could do that when they were scrambling for childcare, for any number of things that were happening to them during that time? So 20,000 TSA workers got nothing compared to 776 that got the 10K because of perfect attendance. So this issue around going back to the House finally, growing a pair and starting to resist and rebel, they're saying, no, we've got to protect bargaining rights, and something like this would happen with the TSA workers is a prime example of that. So that's the good news that's happening. All right. I want to get to two things. Many of you have been asking me, I've been getting emails around Venezuela, of course, and this, taking these tankers, because the plan, of course, is to take more, right? And what's the real deal? We knew all along. Spirit's been very clear. Political pundits have been very clear. This was never about drugs. That is not what this going after Venezuela was about. This was about oil, right? Here's what's interesting, and I'm getting ready to go to the cards, you all. What's up, right? What's really up with that? Because we know it's never as it appears on the surface. What's really up with going after now? They've taken, I think at least U.S. has taken over one tanker. My understanding from the research is that the plan is to then somehow bring that tanker to the U.S. So now they are in possession of that oil that was on that tanker. And then they're going after more, right? I'm getting... the switch has gone from overtly going forward with a land campaign militarily, right? Actually going to war with Venezuela on land, sending the troops in. Not saying that's off the table, but this seems to be a maneuver to still impact Maduro and severely impact Venezuela's economy by taking its major export, its oil. Now, we understand 8 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. I want to get this the right way, the way Spirit is giving it to me, y'all. This is mostly Marco Rubio, who has ambitions for 2028. Marco Rubio, who has been, for the majority of this year, the guides are saying, the majority of this year, check out his moves, especially in relation to Latin America. Came out with what he was going, they're going to take over Panama. They're going to take over this. They're going to do that. So now, because of the ineffectiveness and ineptitude with regard to making any sorts of serious progress around Ukraine and negotiating with Russia, and ding, 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 that's what Spirit said. Maduro got on the horn, apparently this week, with Putin and said, yo, you see what they're doing, right? You got to help me out, because Venezuela, Russia, and China, they have these energy partnership agreements, right? China exports or takes in, I think I saw up to 80% of Venezuela's exports. Now, I don't know if that's solely just oil, but 80% of Venezuela's exports, majority oil, is going to China. Who is China tight with, right? Russia. Is this leverage Rubio, who's really in charge of this, Rubio slash Sleepy D, is this leverage that they are trying to use to gain influence or power or show that they are not to be the fool. Thank you. Right out the deck, the fool. This is a new tactic that they are trying to use to show we are still a major player. No, we ain't been able to make no progress. We haven't even been able to make you blink, Russia, in regards to Ukraine. We have no leverage there. We are, so now the talk is we'll walk away. We have no leverage in Europe, so we'll just walk away. We are essentially, for all intents and purposes, not going to talk about pulling out of NATO. No influence, nothing. So now there's this effort to strong arm. Spirit is saying, the fool, we're going to go in a new direction. We're going to try something new to exert influence in an area that you can't stop us, right? Ukraine is already it's already underway. We can't get in there to really make a significant difference. You can't stop us. But this fool, and fool sometimes meaning foolish, meaning taking risks that are not going to pay off or will lead you down a path that you didn't know or did Spirit said don't put that back, pull it. Did you see me? Oh, and I see why now. It's the world, okay? It's the world. This is, thank you, Spirit. This situation in Venezuela, you all, has a lot to do. I'm not saying solely, but just for your consideration and what my guides are giving me. This has a lot to do with them, with Rubio and Sleepy D and this administration trying to find some avenue to show we're a world player. We're still, we're still top dogs. And we can still make major moves, militarily or otherwise, keeping in mind as well that while Maduro made that call to Putin, and Putin has said, I saw an article, he used the word solidarity that he expressed to Maduro. We stand in solidarity with you, the world. This is world events, but also this is this is sort of a last ditch attempt by this regime, this, Sleepy D and Rubio et al., to show some area that they can exert power and influence and manipulate economic outcomes, such as harming Venezuela and thereby harming China, which they can't come directly at China because China is, of course, a major trade partner and all of the, back and forth around the tariffs, right? But Russia, that's a different story. Spirit, is Russia going to get involved in this? If Sleepy D, Rubio, whatever, if the U.S. keeps pushing in this direction and continues to take those tankers, Eight of Swords, Three of Wands, and the Empress. Okay, Eight of Swords. I'm get like that's Maduro, right? That's extreme stress. So far, he's been really successful in hanging in there and staying in, and not letting them run him off. The Three of Wands, though, is this growing momentum. Especially, I feel like this is Venezuela with reaching out both China and Russia, right? Already having been strategic partners, economic partners, but now that this is making that partnership grow stronger, right? And we have the Empress. This is about money. This is about the abundance of their economy. This is about also Russia's ability to continue to be an influential partner in energy with Venezuela. And of course, this is about China needing its product and wanting its product and not going to sit idly by while the U.S. goes off and starts yanking all these tankers. I saw something like 80,000 or maybe more. My number might be off, but like it's a bunch of oil that is being crude oil. Yes. So they've got to treat it or whatever. But there's a ton of oil that is being exported daily to China. You really think, and China and Russia, right? Like that. You really think that's what's going to happen, Spirit? Will Sleepy D, Taco. Because if it's one person we know he don't mess with, he'll, bend over backwards. Red carpet treatment in Alaska and all is to Putin. Is is Russia gonna call Sleepy D's bluff? Is Putin going to call his bluff, and will he have to back down from this? Is this going to be a failure? Knight of Pentacles, slow, but yes, moving over it. And the Lovers, I'm kind of tickled by that, you all, because that it is a love affair, and it's one-sided, right? With Sleepy D towards Putin. Putin could care less. He plays him for a fool. But yeah, the Lovers and the Knight of Pentacles, they're gonna have to come to a decision, or this is a decision that they want what they want to be able to show we've got some leverage in this region, right? Latin America in total, but right now Venezuela is the main target. So we want to show some form of dominance and influence, and power, and taking over in what happens in that region in Latin America, right? But ultimately, Sleepy D needs his relationship to Putin over and above everything. Will they cave? Will they have to backtrack on this? King of Pentacles and the Sun. They're eventually going to backtrack, but it will take some time. I feel like the King of Pentacles is more around Putin, maybe to a certain extent Maduro himself. So let's ask this. And the Sun, they're going to have to. They want the success of trying to maintain some stability, because we know Sleepy D has also been, he sees himself as part of the big three: Russia, China, and the U.S. Like that, coming away from Europe, and we'll talk more about that later. The moves that are being made increasingly to distance the U.S. from Europe, leave Europe hanging out there on its own, along with Ukraine, all of the long-standing allies. Like that's part of it, but also because they see that this whole thing with the Sun is, again, going back to Rubio's ambitions for 2028, is saying, we're the big dogs. Look at us shine. Look at us having success in some area of world events, because we haven't had it anyplace else. All right, you all. I think I'm just about ready. Spirit, is there anything else on this to share? Is there anything else on this to share? Will there be a war? Will this, because we saw that Knight of Pentacles, will this actually advance militarily? Will there be war in Venezuela? Will it come to that? Will it come to war? Seven of Swords. The appearance of it, but not full on. Number one, because at that point, U.S. is going ballistic. Congress, House and Senate, the base, he's already underwater. He's in the tank with them. His numbers going down, and the Ten of Swords. They don't want them problems. I don't see this going to full on war, you all. I don't see. They can't afford it, and at this point, especially again with Putin coming out and saying, "I got your back." Does that mean militarily? Perhaps. Allegedly, supposedly, for entertainment purposes only? No. This unfortunately was it is a very desperate and harmful attempt to exert power and influence in a region and throughout Latin America, because they don't have it anyplace else. They've alienated Europe like what? They've alienated. They're not doing a thing in Ukraine. Horrible. Gaza, even that, their so-called intervention there, for what? So they could go ahead and proceed to build those resorts that they were planning to do always anyway. All right, you all. I'm going to move on. So now the domestic issue that Spirit gave me to look at today. We heard that there was this so-called delusional dementia, all in. So Sleepy D supposedly pardoned what's her name? Tina Peters out of Colorado serving a jail sentence because she was a clerk in Colorado during the 2020 elections. Got sentenced to 8.5 years because she tampered with voting records and equipment, from what we understand. So now you got Sleepy D jumping up and saying, "Well, I'm a partner. She's pardoned." You can't partner. Like, you got the governor, the attorney general saying, excuse me, that's a state issue. You cannot pardon this woman. She will remain where she is. All right. Here's the deal. 2026 elections, election interference, potential election interference, and we've seen already, nobody's blind to this anymore. And there can't be an excuse that the Dems and voters were caught flat-footed with the attempts to manipulate voter data, right? Already on red alert for that, a year out, okay? But Spirit is saying this is a definite flashing red signal to those who might be tempted to follow orders and do whatever's necessary to manipulate those machines, recognizing if we bring charges against you at the state level, nobody can save you, and you will wind up like a Tina Peters. I feel like that was Spirit is saying that was a flashing red light, like, don't do it unless you want to wind up like this. But here's also the thing. I did not realize this, and maybe some of you, a lot of you are like way, way, way on top of things. I love working with you. I found out, I just, for the heck of it, Spirit said, take a look at how many governors' races are up, because talking about states being the ones in charge, and states, governors and attorneys generals being the ones in charge of prosecuting people, elected officials in states who might be under orders to tamper with machines or data in 2026. Here we go. At next year, November midterms, we got 36 states and 3 territories that have governor's races. Did you all know that? I didn't. 36 states are up. All right. 15 of those are term limited governors, meaning someone's got to turn over one way or another. This isn't even about incumbents getting back in. Of those, we have, of course, we know Gavin Newsom, California, his term is up. Jared Polis in Colorado, term is up. Kansas, Laura Kelly, term is up. So this means somebody else is coming in one way or another. In Maine, Janet Mills, I think they're trying to get her to go for Senate. Her term is up. Michigan, Big Gretch, right? Gretchen Whitmer, her term is up. And then we've got a lot of others who are incumbents that are running. Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, Wes Moore out of Maryland. Interestingly, Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, from what I saw as of this morning, has not announced. Incumbent, but has not announced. So therefore, there are not even any Democrats starting to gin up and get in the race for that. They don't want to run against him, of course. So not sure what that is. We'll take a closer look at him a little later. But the point is, you all, the stakes are really, really high. There are a lot of races coming up next year. So to the point of something being in place to mitigate any attempts to manipulate that data, and that prosecutions are going to be a real thing, that's what Spirit is saying. I'm asking, based on all of the, Spirit is saying, don't forget, because I wrote it down. So we got 36 states that are up for, have governor's races coming up, right? And we have 30 states where attorney general races are coming up. And in the GOP races that are looking like they could be flipped, we got Georgia and Florida, right? DeSantis, term limited in Florida. Brian Kemp, term limited in Georgia. Greg Abbott, he's not term limited, but he's in trouble. He's in real trouble in Texas. Iowa, Kim Reynolds. Nevada, Joe Lombardo, right? Kim Reynolds is retiring from Iowa. I'm wondering, ready to read, will we wind up with a majority of states in 2026 going Democrat? Are we going to have majority blue states in 2026? All things, that didn't mix too well. All things going back to don't even try to fix these elections, y'all. That's the signal that I feel is going out from spirit, from the cosmos, from voters, etc. Don't do it, because you will get prosecuted. We're on to you. We're on to your tactics, and you will get prosecuted. Spirit, will we see a majority of states now with Democratic governors a year from now, after the midterms? Will it result in a majority of Democrat? We've got the Queen of Cups. I like it as an energy of flow and something that makes the people feel safer and feeling like we're on better footing. We have the Two of Pentacles. It's looking good. Slow, but I also feel like this could be a number, like maybe a narrower majority of Democratic governors, but still a majority nonetheless. Will we have a majority of Democratic-led states? The Knight of Swords. Again, this movement, messaging. Got it. Messaging that's going out to make it happen. Eight of Swords, because there's all of these concerns around that messaging, and that's the key. Democrats have got to be really, really clear about their messaging. They just had their Democratic Governors Association meeting in Phoenix, I think last week, right? And Gretchen Governor, by the way, was appointed vice chair. We know that Andy Beshear out of Kentucky is the chair. But here's what's important. I understand part of what came out of that meeting in terms of all these governors races is we can't do this based on that democracy message that we saw so much of, and preserving democracy as a part of the major theme of the 2024 campaign, right? They're saying it's got to be about affordability. It's got to be about the economy, right? So that's what I feel this Eight of Swords is about. Spirit is saying the Dems recognize that they can't do that. The messaging, Knight of Swords, the messaging has got to move forward in a different way. And the Wheel of Fortune. New time, new era, ruled by Jupiter. And the growth and expansion. And this is a new age, the dawning of a new day, and the dawning of a different messaging and platforming from these governor candidates next year. Will we have, just two more cards I'm feeling, will we wind up with a majority of blue states after this election? Nine of Swords and the Seven of Cups. One more. And the Hangman. It's looking really, really tight, you all. I got to be honest. Some of this feels like funding to me. I understand that there were a lot of big donors at that Democratic Governors Association meeting. Of course, they don't disclose the names of them. That's private. But it's going to be hairy. It's really going to be hairy. But I also feel like sometimes the Hangman can be a surrender. Like let go and let God, right? And the Seven of Cups, of course, being so many choices. Oh, okay. And this is also taking me to what's happening in California, what I think is going to happen in Georgia as well. There's going to be such a plethora of Democrats wanting to get into these races that there's going to be, and then the clock is ticking, primaries, etc., so that finally voters have some, know which candidates they're going to coalesce around. That's the caution that I'm seeing from Spirit here in that Seven of Cups. Too many options. So then things get scattered, because that's all money. That's all money being raised by these various Democratic candidates. They're going to have to narrow that down quicker so that they can coalesce both financially and messaging, campaigning, etc., around the best choices, the best candidates to get these us. Thank you. And there's the star. Spirit confirmed it. And there's the star. There's going to have to be, like, talk about timelines, you all, in 2026. The timeline is going to have to get sped up, like, where's my Wheel of Fortune? Timeline, that wheel is going to have to be going like a hamster wheel, because we don't have a lot of time to futz around with who among these Democratic candidates, people throwing their hats in the ring, especially in some of the larger races, Georgia, California, etc. We don't have time for that. We got to make some choices and make them fast. because we don't want to get hung up too long in that hangman energy. All right. So keep your eyes peeled, because again, that the outcome of that has so much to do with the power that the states would have to deter the shenanigans from this administration and all the goons to try and tamper with the election results. All right. I hope I was clear on that. I appreciate your time, your energy, your intellect, your respect, both towards me and towards one another. And many of you got on me a little bit about my take on Tallarico, James Tallarico out of Texas. I appreciate it. You know, I've been looking at him and my guys like, well, one eye open. But of course, at the end of the day, I'm Crockett all the way, right? Me and my guys, I speak for both of us. We're Crockett all the way. But I get your point around Christian nationalism and kind of pointing that out, that to many of you, you feel that he really is coming from a good place, or he's not to be categorized that way. I respect that, and I always appreciate your perspectives on this platform. So, yeah, that's that. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good weekend. I'll see you back on Monday. Check out that class because it's going to get closed out. I'd love to have you there. All right. Chin up. Whoop. I went straight to the heart. Chin up. Shoulders back. Some good news started out, right? Good things are happening. Democracy is still alive. It may not be alive and well necessarily, but it is still alive, and we're going to keep it that way. And remember to come from your heart. Show a lot of love. A lot of love. We need that, all right? Think about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, you know, just the love that so many people are showing him, and hopefully now that he finally feels after so much trauma. And that's just one person in a multitude of people who are undergoing so much at this time. So it's really important for us to stay in our hearts and continue to multiply our compassion and love for ourselves and for one another. That said, I'll talk to you real soon. Be good. Bye.